There is a hidden power within you, a force so great that it can shape reality itself. It is not found in the stars, nor in the hands of fate, but in the deep well of your own imagination. Whatever you seek, whatever you long for, is already yours, if only you dare to believe it so. The secret is not in waiting, not in hoping, but in knowing. You must live as if the answer has already come, walk as if the path is already clear, and rejoice as if the victory is already won. Faith is not a passive state. It is the most creative act of all. It is the unwavering conviction that what is unseen is more real than what is before your eyes. It is not enough to wish, nor even to pray with longing. One must assume with absolute certainty that what is desired is already present. This is the key, the great mystery that turns dreams into reality. The world you experience is but a reflection of your own inner state. Change that state, and the world around you will move to match it. What would it feel like if your prayers were already answered? If the love you seek was already yours? If the wealth you desire was already in your hands? If the success you long for had already been achieved? Can you summon that feeling now, in this very moment? For if you can, you have unlocked the door. This is not a matter of chance, but of law, an unbreakable principle that governs the unseen forces of life. Believe that it is done, and it will be done. Step into the reality of your fulfilled desires and watch as the world bends to meet you there. To truly manifest, you must abandon the old habits of doubt and fear. You cannot ask for something while holding on to the belief that it is out of reach. You cannot pray for abundance while seeing yourself as lacking. You cannot seek love while feeling unworthy of it. The world responds not to your words, but to the state of being you dwell in. The moment you shift your awareness to the fulfillment of your desires, they must materialize. It is not enough to visualize, nor to speak affirmations in an empty ritual. You must embody the feeling of having received. When you close your eyes, do you feel the warmth of love surrounding you? Do you sense the freedom of financial abundance? Do you carry yourself as someone who already possesses all they have asked for? If you do, then the law is in motion. If you do not, then you must persist until the feeling becomes real within you. You must live each moment in the joy and certainty that your desire has already found you. When you wake in the morning, step into the day as the person who already possesses their dream. When you walk, walk as one whose heart is full of gratitude for the answered prayer. When you speak, let your words reflect the truth that it is already done. The universe does not delay in responding. It mirrors your deepest convictions instantly. What you accept as true within will become your truth without. The greatest barrier to manifestation is not the outside world, but the resistance within. Doubt is the voice of a mind still trapped in the illusion of separation from its desire. Fear is the whisper of an old self unwilling to let go of limitations. The mind will argue, it will seek evidence of lack, it will try to convince you that you must struggle. But you must be steadfast. You must refuse to give power to anything but the vision of your fulfilled desire. If you desire love, then be love. If you seek abundance, then radiate abundance in thought and action. If you yearn for success, then carry yourself as one who has already triumphed. The energy you put forth is what you receive in return. This is not a theory nor a philosophy. It is the law by which all things are made manifest. The universe does not play favorites. It simply reflects what you deeply believe to be true. The reason so many fail to see their desires fulfilled is not because they lack the power, but because they surrender to doubt before the miracle unfolds. They plant the seed but dig it up in impatience. They declare their wish, but then undo it with thoughts of fear and lack. The law does not work on hesitation, it works on conviction. You must hold fast to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, unwavering, unshaken, until it hardens into fact. This is not the way of the world, which teaches that you must see before you believe, but in truth you must believe before you see. Your external circumstances are the echoes of your internal state. If you persist in seeing yourself as small, the world will confirm it. If you walk in the assumption of greatness, life will rise to meet you there. There is no force outside of you determining your fate. It is you, always you, shaping your experience by the reality you choose to accept. Do not concern yourself with how things will unfold. The mind, bound by logic and reason, will try to force solutions, will attempt to map out the details, will demand proof. But the great secret is that you do not need to know the how. You need only dwell in the knowing that it is already done. The path will form itself. The means will come in ways you could not have foreseen. The world will shift to accommodate the assumption you have made. Every great transformation in life begins in the unseen. The tree exists within the seed before it breaks through the soil. The masterpiece exists in the artist's mind before the brush ever touches the canvas. The invention is real in the inventor's imagination before it takes physical form. Likewise, your answered prayer is real the moment you claim it as so within you. So, live now as though the dream has already been realized. Rejoice now as though the blessing is already in your hands. Love now as though you are already surrounded by the warmth of everything you have ever wished for. For the truth is, you are. The only thing that stands between you and your desire is the belief that there is a distance at all. Remove that illusion and you will see you were always standing in the midst of your answered prayer. There is no delay in the fulfillment of your desire except the delay you place upon it, with doubt, hesitation, and disbelief. The moment you accept that what you desire is already yours, reality begins to shift in accordance with your belief. But you must not waver. You must not look to the world for validation before you believe, for the world is merely a mirror reflecting back the state you hold within. Every great achievement, every miracle, every transformation has followed this one principle. Live as though it is already done. There is no other path, no secret formula beyond this. Those who have risen from obscurity to greatness did not wait for the world to grant them permission. They assumed their success, they walked in the certainty of their destiny, and the world adjusted to their belief. To live in this way is to move beyond the limitations of the physical senses. The senses will try to deceive you, to tell you that you're still lacking, still waiting, still hoping. But your senses are merely the echoes of past assumptions. They do not define the future unless you allow them to. If you believe only in what you see, you remain bound to what has been. But if you believe in what you have imagined, if you claim it as real, then what has been will dissolve, and what must be will come forth. The law of manifestation is not about effort. It is not about forcing, struggling, or striving. It is about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and resting in that assumption. It is about dwelling in the end result, not in the process, not in the obstacles, not in the seeming delays. The moment you shift your focus from longing to knowing, from wishing to being, everything changes. Most people live in the constant state of waiting, waiting for a sign, waiting for circumstances to shift, waiting for something outside of them to give them permission to believe. But waiting is nothing more than the absence of faith. To wait is to assume separation from your desire. To wait is to tell the universe that you do not yet have what you seek. And so you remain waiting. But the one who lives as if their prayer is already answered never waits. They move, they speak, they breathe in the certainty that what they have asked for is already theirs. You do not become wealthy by waiting to see money in your hands. You do not become loved by waiting for another to prove their devotion. You do not become healthy by waiting for symptoms to disappear. You become all of these things by assuming them to be true now, by feeling within yourself the joy, the freedom, the peace that comes with already possessing them. If you wish to manifest love, you must first become love. You must carry yourself as though you are already cherished, already adored, already deeply valued. You must not seek love from a place of emptiness, for the world will only reflect that emptiness back to you. Instead, you must embody the fullness of love within yourself, and in doing so, love will be drawn to you effortlessly. If you wish to manifest wealth, you must no longer think in terms of lack, you must no longer speak of struggle nor entertain thoughts of limitation. Even before the physical evidence arrives, you must walk in the consciousness of abundance. You must feel as one who has more than enough, who is generous, who is free. Money is not a thing to be chased, it is a frequency to be aligned with, and that frequency is not one of desperation, but of certainty. If you wish to manifest success, you must no longer dwell in fear or hesitation. You must no longer ask if you are capable, if you are worthy, if you are enough. You must assume the identity of one who has already achieved what they desire. You must move through life with the confidence and authority of someone who knows that their success is inevitable. For as long as you question, you delay. But the moment you claim, the moment you know, the moment you embody your success, it begins to unfold before you. This is not a philosophy of wishful thinking, nor an illusion to escape reality. It is the very nature of creation itself. Every great visionary, every pioneer, every leader throughout history has understood this truth, whether they spoke of it or not. They did not rise by waiting. They did not rise by seeking proof before they believed. They rose because they believed first, and the world had no choice but to conform. The mind will resist this at first. It will say, "But I do not see it yet. How can I act as if it is already done when my senses tell me otherwise?" This is where faith begins. Not blind faith in something outside of you, but faith in your own divine power to create. You must silence the mind's arguments and lean entirely into the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Do not try to force belief. Instead, relax into it. Dwell in it. Let it become so real in your imagination that you can no longer tell the difference between what is seen and what is felt. And when doubts arise, as they inevitably will, do not fight them. Simply return to the feeling of already having what you seek. Do not wrestle with old thoughts, for what you resist you strengthen. Instead, shift your attention back to the reality you choose to inhabit. The more you do this, the more natural it will become. And soon, what was once only imagined will begin to manifest in ways so seamless, so effortless, that it will seem as though it was always meant to be. There is no limitation except the one you impose upon yourself. The universe does not judge your desires, does not weigh them as possible or impossible. It simply reflects back to you what you assume to be true. If you assume limitation, you will see limitation. If you assume abundance, you will see abundance. The choice is always yours. You must take nothing personally in this world, for all of it is simply a projection of the self. If you see lack, look within and ask where you have assumed lack to be true. If you see rejection, ask where you have rejected yourself. If you see struggle, ask where you have believed that struggle is necessary, and then shift, choose anew, assume differently, and watch how quickly the reflection changes. You are not separate from your desires. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the creator, the master, the divine force shaping every aspect of your reality. And the moment you step into this truth, the moment you claim your power with unwavering certainty, nothing will be withheld from you. Live now as though you already have all that you have asked for. Move now as though every prayer has been answered. Speak now as though you stand in the reality of your fulfilled dreams. And if you do this, truly, fully, completely, then you will never again wonder if manifestation is real. You will know because you will have lived it. There is no waiting in creation, there is only being. To wait implies that your desire is distant, that it exists somewhere outside of you, that time must pass before you can have it. But what if time were an illusion? What if distance were nothing more than a trick of the mind? What if, instead of waiting, you simply stepped into the reality where your desire is already fulfilled? You must understand that the moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it is done. The world you see, the circumstances you believe to be real, are but the shadows of past assumptions. They have no power except the power you continue to give them. If you wish to step into a new reality, you must withdraw your attention from what is and place it entirely upon what you have declared to be. Look at your life now, at the things you experience daily. Each one of them is the outpicturing of a past belief. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you accepted these circumstances as true, and so they became true. But what was once assumed can be assumed again, differently, with greater intent. And the moment you shift that assumption, reality must shift with you. It is not a matter of hoping or wishing. It is not about asking the universe to grant you something outside of yourself. You are not a beggar at the doorstep of creation. You are the creator, the authority, the one who declares what is real. Do not fall into the illusion that you must earn or prove your worthiness. Worthiness was never in question. The only question is, what will you assume to be true? If you truly believed that your desire was already fulfilled, how would you act? How would you think, speak, move? Would you still worry, still doubt, still second-guess your ability to receive? No. You would carry yourself differently. You would move with confidence, with peace, with a quiet certainty that all is unfolding exactly as it should. This is the state you must occupy, not just for a moment, but persistently, unwaveringly, until it becomes second nature. Your imagination is the blueprint of your reality. What you hold in your mind's eye as real will be made real. There is no exception to this. The only reason so many fail to see their desires manifest is that they continue to waver. One moment they believe, the next moment they question. One day they affirm their desire is done, the next they look for evidence, and finding none, they doubt. This back and forth keeps them stuck in a loop of delay. But you will not do this. You will stand firm. You will live as though the world has already conformed to your desire. You will carry yourself as though your success is inevitable, because it is. You will walk with the knowing that what you have imagined is more real than what you see before you. And in doing so, what you see will change. This is not about pretending. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing which reality you will accept. There are infinite possibilities, infinite versions of you existing right now. The only question is, which version will you align with? The moment you decide, the moment you shift into that state, you will notice the world around you begin to respond. Doors will open where before there were none. People will appear, opportunities will arise, events will unfold in ways you could not have predicted. But they will not come because you chased them. They will come because you became the version of yourself who already has them. They will come because you aligned with the state in which they naturally exist. You are never separate from what you seek. The idea that you must struggle, that you must prove yourself, that you must work tirelessly before you can receive, this is the greatest illusion of all. Creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire already exists. Your only task is to claim it. To claim it means to dwell in the feeling of already having it. It means to let go of needing, longing, or hoping. It means to rest in the absolute certainty that it is done. Do not concern yourself with how it will come to pass. The how is not your responsibility. The moment you try to control the how, you step out of faith and back into doubt. Your only task is to remain in the state of fulfillment. If ever you waver, if ever you feel doubt creeping in, return to the feeling. Remind yourself that the world is only a reflection. Do not be fooled by appearances. They are temporary, malleable, subject to the power of your assumption. And so you must live now as the person who has already received. You must think from the place of your fulfilled desire, not of it. Do not look at your desire as something in the distance. Step into it now. Let it become real within you. If you desire wealth, stop thinking of yourself as someone who is striving for it. Assume the consciousness of wealth now. Feel the freedom, the ease, the confidence that comes with financial abundance. Speak as one who has already received. Do not speak of lack. Do not entertain thoughts of struggle. The more you focus on not having, the more you reinforce the state of lack. If you desire love, cease looking for it outside of yourself. Become the embodiment of love. Feel as though you are already cherished, already adored, already surrounded by deep affection. Carry yourself as one who is already in the perfect relationship, and as you do, love must find you because you have aligned with it. If you desire health, stop identifying with illness. Do not speak of symptoms. Do not dwell in the identity of someone who is unwell. Assume the state of perfect health. Feel yourself whole, strong, vibrant. Your body is a servant to your mind. It will reflect what you assume to be true. There is nothing outside of you that has power over you. No condition, no circumstance, no force greater than your own belief. The only reality that matters is the one you choose to accept. The only truth that exists is the one you declare as real. You may look around and say, "But I do not see it yet." And I tell you, the moment you see it, it is no longer creation. Creation happens in the unseen, in the assumption, in the knowing before the evidence appears. The evidence is always the last to arrive. It is the shadow of the belief that preceded it. Do not be swayed by appearances. Do not let the world tell you what is possible. You are the one who defines possibility. You are the one who shapes the world. If you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, nothing can stop its manifestation. Let go of doubt. Let go of waiting. Let go of the illusion that you must struggle. Step into your power. Step into your knowing. Live now as though everything you have asked for is already here. For if you do, you will soon discover the greatest truth of all, that you were never separate from your desires to begin with, that what you sought was always seeking you, that you were always standing in the midst of your answered prayer, and the moment you finally accept this, the moment you finally believe, the world will have no choice but to bow to your assumption and deliver to you the life you have claimed as your own. There is no force outside of you deciding what you can or cannot have. There is no external power determining when or if your desires will come to pass. The only authority in your world is your assumption, what you accept as real, what you believe without question, what you feel is true even before the evidence appears. This is the key to all manifestation. The moment you truly grasp this, you will stop waiting for life to change and start living as the master of your reality. You must not allow yourself to be moved by appearances. The world you see is not solid, not fixed, not unchangeable. It is fluid, responsive, obedient to your inner state. What you experience today is merely the crystallization of past thoughts, past beliefs, past assumptions. But just as a river flows and changes course, so too can your reality shift the moment you decide it must. Most people believe they are subject to external conditions, that life happens to them, that they must react to whatever is placed before them. But this is a falsehood, an illusion that keeps them bound to circumstances they do not wish to experience. The truth is that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. You are not here to be a spectator, you are here to be the creator. And so you must decide what you will accept as real. If you continue to see yourself as separate from your desires, you will remain separate from them. If you continue to act as though you are waiting, you will continue to wait. If you continue to seek validation from the external world before you believe, you will remain trapped in the cycle of delay. Instead, you must assume the state of the wish fulfilled. You must live from it, not toward it, not reaching for it, not hoping for it, but from it. This means feeling now as you would feel if your desire were already yours. This means thinking, speaking, and acting in accordance with the reality you have chosen. When you close your eyes, do you feel the joy of already having what you desire? Do you feel the relief, the peace, the certainty? Or do you still feel the longing, the separation, the waiting? If the latter, you must shift. You must make the feeling real within you, for what is real within must become real without. There is no effort required beyond the effort to remain faithful to your assumption. The moment you accept something as true, the world begins to rearrange itself to match that truth. But you must not waver. You must not contradict your assumption with doubt, fear, or hesitation. You must hold fast to your vision, even when the world seems unchanged. Think of the seed planted in the soil. The gardener does not dig it up each day to check if it is growing. He knows that growth is inevitable, that the process is already underway. He trusts that the unseen forces are working to bring forth the harvest. So too must you trust in the unseen power within you. Your assumption is the seed. The moment you plant it in consciousness and nourish it with unwavering belief, it must bear fruit. Do not concern yourself with time. The mind, bound to the illusion of linear progression, will try to impose deadlines, will try to measure progress, will try to dictate how and when things should unfold. But manifestation does not operate on human schedules. It operates according to the law of assumption, which knows only certainty, not time. If you say, "I will have this someday," you have placed your desire in the future, and so it will remain in the future. If you say, "It is already mine," you claim it in the present, and the present must shift to reflect that claim. Do not wait for the world to change before you change. Change within, and the world will follow. Your emotions are the signal that tells you what state you are in. If you feel anxious, uncertain, doubtful, you are in the state of not having. If you feel calm, fulfilled, grateful, you are in the state of having. And what you persist in feeling, you will inevitably experience. This is why it is not enough to simply visualize or affirm your desire. You must feel it real. You must walk as though it is already done. You must breathe as though the thing you long for has already arrived. The universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to the frequency of your being. If you desire wealth, do not entertain thoughts of lack. Do not count pennies with a sense of desperation. Instead, embody the energy of abundance. Feel as though you have more than enough. Move through life with the certainty that you are financially secure, and as you do, wealth will be drawn to you in ways you cannot predict. If you desire love, do not seek it from a place of loneliness. Do not ask, "When will I find someone?" for in doing so you affirm that love is missing. Instead, feel as though love is already surrounding you. Carry yourself as one who is cherished, adored, deeply connected. And as you do, love will reveal itself effortlessly. If you desire health, do not identify with illness. Do not speak of symptoms. Do not dwell in the mindset of struggle. Instead, assume the state of perfect well-being. Feel yourself strong, vibrant, whole. Let that feeling become more real to you than anything the senses may suggest. And as you do, the body must align with the new assumption. There is no force outside of you deciding whether or not you are worthy. There is no test you must pass, no permission you must seek. The only requirement is that you believe. And belief is not something you wait for, it is something you choose. When you claim something as yours in consciousness, reality must catch up. When you persist in the assumption, when you refuse to entertain anything but the fulfillment of your desire, when you move as though it is already done, the world has no choice but to reflect your conviction. Many will tell you that change is difficult, that success requires struggle, that you must fight and toil to achieve what you want. But those who say this do not understand the law. They do not realize that effort in the external world is unnecessary when the internal world is aligned. Creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire already exists in potential. Your task is not to force it into being, but to step into the version of yourself where it is already real. And when you do, when you truly accept that you are already living in the reality you desire, the outer world must shift to match it. And so you must not wait another moment. You must not delay your assumption by seeking proof before you believe. The proof will come after you believe. The change will appear after you have assumed it to be real. You must live now in this very moment as though all you have asked for is already yours. You must walk with the assurance that the answer has already been given. You must speak with the confidence of one who knows that their desire has already materialized. You must think, feel, and move in the certainty that the unseen is more real than what is seen. For when you do, When you persist in this state, when you hold firm to your vision with unwavering faith, there will come a moment, sudden, effortless, inevitable, when the world shifts and you will look around and realize that what was once only imagined has become your reality. And in that moment you will know beyond all doubt that you were never separate from your desires, that what you sought was never outside of you, that it was always waiting for you to assume its reality. And the moment you did, it had no choice but to appear. You must not allow your current circumstances to dictate your belief. What you see before you is nothing more than the after-image of old thoughts, old assumptions, old states of being. If you judge reality based on what appears in the moment, you remain trapped in a cycle of repetition, recreating the same experiences over and over again. But if you dare to look beyond appearances, if you dare to accept that what you assume to be real will become real, then you will understand that nothing is fixed, nothing is beyond your power to change. You must walk each day in the absolute conviction that your desire has already been fulfilled, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. You must speak as one who already possesses all that they have ever longed for. You must carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that their dream is not on its way, it has already arrived. The world responds to certainty, not hesitation. If you ask tentatively, if you approach life with an attitude of if only or I hope, then the world will reflect that uncertainty back to you. But if you assume with absolute conviction, if you declare within yourself that it is already done, the world will mold itself to that belief. Your task is not to figure out how your desire will come to pass. That is not your concern. The moment you begin to analyze, to strategize, to question whether it is possible, you introduce doubt, and doubt delays. The how is never your responsibility. Your responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and to remain there undisturbed by appearances, unaffected by time, unwavering in faith. There will be moments when the world seems unchanged, when reality appears to contradict your assumption. But this is merely a test of your persistence. Most people falter here, allowing fear to creep in, allowing old doubts to reclaim their minds, but not you. You will remain steadfast. You will understand that the external world must take time to reflect the shift that has already occurred within you. And so you will stand firm in your knowing, regardless of what the senses may suggest. If you wish to be free, you must think only from the perspective of freedom. If you wish to be loved, you must feel yourself already loved. If you wish to be abundant, you must walk in the state of abundance now, even if the world tells you otherwise. You cannot wait for proof. You cannot wait for evidence before you believe. You must believe first, and the evidence will follow. Do not allow the mind to wander into questions of when or how. These are distractions, obstacles placed before you by an old way of thinking. Instead, anchor yourself in the feeling of already having received. Live in that feeling so completely that it becomes your new normal. Let it be the first thing you feel upon waking and the last thing you feel before sleep. Let it be so real to you that the world has no choice but to conform. Most people fail to manifest because they attempt to hold two conflicting states at once. They affirm their desire while still identifying with its absence. They speak of abundance while still feeling lack. They visualize success while still fearing failure. And in doing so, they remain in limbo, neither moving forward nor remaining still. You must not make this mistake. You must choose one state and abide in it fully. You are not bound by past failures, by former limitations, by old stories you have told yourself. At any moment you can step into a new state. You can release every doubt, every fear, every lingering sense of unworthiness, and you can claim your birthright as the creator of your reality. The power has always been yours. The only thing required is that you accept it. Creation is not about force. It is not about effort. It is not about struggling to make something happen. It is about relaxing into the knowing that it is already done. It is about surrendering to the truth that what you have imagined is as real as anything you can touch, hear, or see. It is about moving with the assurance that the world is already aligning itself to match your assumption. There is nothing to chase, there is nothing to earn, there is nothing to prove. You need only be. Be the person who has already received. Be the one who no longer questions. Be the one who no longer waits. The moment you step into that being, the moment you take that identity as your own, the world will shift to confirm it. If you wish to see a change in your life, you must first become that change. If you want to experience joy, you must become joy. If you want to experience love, you must become love. If you want to experience success, you must become success. The external world will never give you what you are unwilling to assume as already yours. You must not waver when others question you. You must not look to the world for reassurance. The world will always reflect back to you what you most deeply believe. If you demand proof before you assume, you will wait forever. But if you assume without needing proof, proof will come. There is no difference between the great and the ordinary except in what they accept as true. The great do not wait for the world to confirm their success. They assume it, and the world falls into place. They do not ask whether they are worthy. They know they are, and the world mirrors that knowing. They do not hope for opportunities. They expect them, and so they appear. You must do the same. You must rise each day in the certainty that your dream is already real. You must act not from a place of wanting, but from a place of already having. You must speak not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. And when the world begins to shift, when the people, the circumstances, the opportunities begin to move in ways you could never have predicted, you will not be surprised, you will not be in awe, you will not marvel at the sudden transformation. You will simply nod in quiet assurance, knowing that it could never have been any other way. For you will have understood the greatest truth of all, that life has never been happening to you, it has always been responding to you. And now you finally know how to command it. You are the master of your reality. There is no external power, no unseen force deciding your fate. The only law that governs your life is the law of assumption. What you believe to be true must become true. There is no exception, no loophole, no special circumstance that can override this law. It is absolute, unwavering, and always working, whether you realize it or not. Look at the life you are living now. Every event, every relationship, every condition is a reflection of what you have previously assumed to be true. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you have accepted certain beliefs, and the world has dutifully mirrored them back to you. If you have experienced struggle, it is only because at some level you have accepted struggle as part of your story. If you have faced rejection, it is because you have unknowingly assumed yourself to be someone who can be rejected. If you have lived in lack, it is because you have believed in lack. But just as easily as you once assumed struggle, rejection, or lack, you can assume ease, love, and abundance. The power to write your story is always in your hands. It does not take time. It does not require effort. It requires only that you shift your awareness, that you step into the state of already having that which you desire. Most people go through life allowing circumstances to dictate their state of mind. They wait for things to change before they allow themselves to feel joy, success, or fulfillment. But this is backward. The world does not change first, you do. The moment you decide that you are already the person you wish to be, the moment you dwell so deeply in that state that it becomes your natural way of being, the world will have no choice but to reflect it back to you. You must stop thinking of your desires and start thinking from them. There is a vast difference between the two. To think of your desire is to see it as something separate, something distant, something you must still work toward. But to think from your desire is to assume it is already yours. It is to feel the relief, the satisfaction, the absolute knowing that what you have wished for is already a part of your reality. What will it feel like if you already had everything you have ever asked for? Close your eyes and dwell in that feeling. Let it take over your being. Let it replace every doubt, every fear, every thought of separation. For as long as you remain in that state, it must manifest. The world must shift to match your new assumption. Do not waver. Do not let appearances deceive you. If you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up the next day to see if it is growing. You trust that the process is unfolding, that unseen forces are at work bringing your vision to life. So too must you trust in the power of your own assumption. The moment you claim something as yours, it is yours. The world may take time to catch up, but your only task is to remain faithful to your new reality. This is not wishful thinking. This is not pretending. This is the truth of how creation works. Everything you experience is the direct result of your state of being. Change the state, and the experience must change with it. Most people make the mistake of reacting to the world instead of creating it. They see lack and assume it is real. They see obstacles and assume they must fight against them. But the wise do not react. They create. They assume the feeling of already having what they desire, and they let the world rearrange itself accordingly. You must do the same. If you desire wealth, stop affirming that it is coming and start assuming that it is already here. If you desire love, stop seeking it outside of yourself and start embodying the feeling of already being loved. If you desire health, stop identifying with illness and start dwelling in the certainty of perfect well-being. And when the world begins to change, when circumstances shift, when opportunities arise, when what once seemed impossible suddenly unfolds effortlessly before you, you will not be surprised. You will not doubt. You will not marvel at your own power. You will simply nod, knowing that it could never have been any other way. For you will have lived as though your desire was already yours, and in doing so, you will have made it so. There is nothing more to seek, there is nothing more to wait for. There is only the assumption, the unwavering belief, the feeling of already being the person you wish to be. And once you step into that state fully, completely, without hesitation, the world will yield to you. It will reshape itself in your image. It will bring to you all that you have claimed as yours. Because the greatest secret is this: you were never separate from your desires. They have always been within you, waiting for you to assume them as real. And the moment you do, they will be. You now hold the key. You now understand that the world is not something you must struggle against, not something you must beg for, not something you must wait on. The world is your mirror, reflecting back only what you assume to be true. So, what will you assume from this moment forward? Will you continue to see yourself as someone who is waiting, longing, hoping? Or will you step boldly into the knowing that everything you desire is already yours? Will you walk as one who has already received, who no longer questions, who no longer seeks, but simply is? This is your moment of decision. This is the moment where you stop letting life happen to you and start commanding it from within. Live now as though all your prayers have been answered. Move now as though the reality you once dreamed of is already here. Breathe now as though nothing is missing, as though nothing has ever been missing. For the truth is, nothing ever was. You were never separate from your desires. You were never unworthy. You were never powerless. You were always the creator, the authority, the force that shapes reality itself. And now, knowing this, you can never go back to living as though you are anything less. Go forth not in hope, but in certainty. Go forth not as a seeker, but as one who is already found. Go forth and live as if God has already answered, because He has. God often allows trials to come into our lives, not to destroy us, but to refine us. When you are on the brink of a breakthrough, the challenges you face are not by accident. They are a test of faith, a measure of endurance, and a preparation for the blessing that lies ahead. These moments are not signs of abandonment, but of divine preparation. One sign that God is testing you is when everything around you seems to be falling apart. The doors that once opened with ease now remain shut. Relationships that once brought joy may turn cold. Opportunities that seemed certain may slip through your fingers. It is in these moments that doubt creeps in, whispering lies that God has forgotten you. But He has not. The enemy wants you to believe that delay means denial. But God is orchestrating something greater behind the scenes. He is teaching you to trust in Him alone, not in your own understanding. Another sign is when your faith is stretched beyond what you think you can handle. You pray, but heaven seems silent. You seek answers, but they do not come in the way you expect. You feel as though you are walking through the valley of the shadow of death, with no clear path ahead. But remember, faith is not built in comfort, it is forged in trials. The silence of God does not mean He is absent. It is in the silence that He strengthens you, drawing you closer to His presence. You may also experience increased opposition from the enemy. The moment you step closer to God's purpose, the attacks intensify. Temptations that you thought you had overcome suddenly resurface. Distractions appear to pull you away from your calling. People may misunderstand you, question your motives, and even betray you. Do not be disheartened. The enemy does not attack those who are not a threat. If the battle is great, it is because your breakthrough is near. The closer you get to God's promises, the harder the enemy fights to turn you away. But greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. Another sign that God is testing you is when He asks you to let go of something you deeply cherish. He may call you to walk away from a comfortable situation, a familiar place, or a secure plan. It is not because He wants to take from you, but because He has something greater in store. Abraham was tested when he was asked to sacrifice Isaac, his promised son. But in his obedience, he discovered that God had already provided a ram in the thicket. When God asks you to surrender something, it is never to leave you empty-handed. It is to make room for something greater, something beyond what you could imagine. Another sign is the feeling of isolation. There are seasons when God removes certain people from your life, not because they are bad, but because they cannot go where He is leading you. He isolates you, not to punish you, but to refine you. The greatest revelations often come in moments of solitude. Moses encountered God alone on Mount Sinai. Jesus withdrew to pray in solitude before great moments of ministry. It might be the same with you. For when you feel isolated, know that God is drawing you into a deeper relationship with Him. You will know God is testing you when He allows you to reach the very end of yourself. When your strength is gone, when you have exhausted every effort, when there is nothing left but total dependence on Him, that is the moment when His power is made perfect in your weakness. It is then that you realize that the breakthrough was never about your ability, but about His grace. Do not grow weary in the testing. Do not lose heart in the trial. What you are facing is not meant to break you, but to build you. God is preparing you for the blessing ahead, shaping you into the person He has called you to be. Hold on, stay faithful, and trust in the one who never fails. God is always at work, even when we cannot see it. When trials come, they come with a purpose, shaping us, molding us, refining us like gold in the fire. The greatest blessings are often preceded by the most intense struggles, and the strongest warriors are not forged in ease, but in adversity. Every test you face is not a sign of God's absence, but His presence. He allows these moments to stretch your faith, to prepare you for the destiny He has laid out for you. If you are experiencing trials that seem too great to bear, take heart, your breakthrough is near. One of the greatest signs that God is testing you before your breakthrough is when everything familiar begins to shift. The places, people, and routines that once brought comfort may suddenly feel uncertain. It can feel as if the very foundation you stood on is being shaken. But God does not shake your life to destroy you. He does it to remove what is weak, so that only what is strong remains. When everything around you begins to shift, it is often a sign that He is leading you into something new, something greater. The discomfort you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. God is pulling you away from what is temporary so He can establish you in something eternal. There will be moments when the very people you trusted the most turn away. Friendships may dissolve, relationships may falter, and those who once supported you may suddenly distance themselves. This is not by accident. When God is taking you to a new level, not everyone can go with you. Some people were only meant to be part of your journey for a season, and when their purpose in your life has been fulfilled, God moves them out of the way. It is painful, but it is necessary. Do not chase after what God is trying to remove. If He is allowing separation, it is because He has something better. He sees the hearts of men, and He knows what is hidden. He is protecting you, even when it feels like rejection. Another sign that God is testing you is when you are required to wait longer than expected. Waiting is one of the hardest tests of faith. You pray, you believe, you trust, but the answer does not come. The delay feels endless and doubts creep in, whispering that perhaps God has forgotten you. But He has not. His timing is perfect, and He never rushes. When God makes you wait, it is not to deny you, but to develop you. Waiting teaches you patience, builds endurance, and strengthens your reliance on Him. It refines your character so that when the breakthrough finally arrives, you are ready to handle it. Many people want the blessing, but they do not want the preparation. But God will not give you something prematurely, for He knows that what comes too soon can be lost too easily. If you are waiting, trust that He is working. There will also be times when God allows you to feel completely alone. The voices that once encouraged you may grow silent, and the support you once leaned on may disappear. It may feel as if no one understands what you are going through, but this loneliness is not to harm you, it is to draw you closer to Him. Throughout Scripture, God often called His servants into isolation before He elevated them. Moses was alone in the wilderness before he led Israel to freedom. Joseph was alone in a prison before he was placed in a position of power. Jesus was alone in the wilderness before He began His ministry. If you are in a season of solitude, do not despise it. It is in these moments that God whispers His greatest revelations. When God is testing you, you may find that the very things you once found easy now seem difficult. Prayer may feel dry, worship may feel distant, and your faith may feel weak. You may begin to question whether you have done something wrong. But this is not a punishment, it is a test of perseverance. Will you still pray when you do not feel anything? Will you still trust Him when the answers do not come right away? Faith is not proven in moments of ease, it is proven in moments of struggle. Anyone can believe when the blessings are flowing, but true faith is revealed when there is no evidence, no sign, and yet you still believe. Another sign that God is testing you is when temptations arise stronger than ever before. The enemy knows when you are on the verge of a breakthrough, and he will do everything in his power to stop you. Temptations that you thought you had conquered will resurface. Old habits may try to return. The enemy will present distractions, trying to lure you away from your purpose. But these are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are closer than ever to what God has promised. Do not give in. Do not be deceived. Stand firm in righteousness, knowing that if the battle is intense, it is because the victory is near. You may also notice that your resources begin to dwindle. Financial struggles may arise, opportunities may seem scarce, and doors may close, but this too is a test. God is teaching you to rely on Him alone. He wants to be your provider, your source, your sustainer. When everything else is taken away, will you still trust Him? When the brook dries up, will you still believe He can make rivers in the desert? The provision of man is temporary, but the provision of God is eternal. He is the same God who fed Elijah through ravens, who multiplied the widow's oil, who provided manna in the wilderness. If He did it then, He can do it now. He will provide in ways you never expected, but first He must test your heart to see if your trust is in Him or in the resources He gives. When you are being tested, you may feel like your prayers are bouncing off the walls. It may seem as if heaven is silent, as if God is not answering. But silence does not mean absence. The teacher is always silent during the test. God is watching, observing, seeing how you respond. Will you keep praying even when you do not hear Him? Will you keep believing even when there is no visible sign? These are the moments that define your faith. God says, Episode 2. Sometimes the biggest test comes in the form of obedience. God may ask you to do something that makes no sense. He may call you to step out in faith, to take a risk, to walk away from something comfortable. The natural mind resists these moments because they require total trust. But obedience always precedes the breakthrough. Naaman had to dip in the Jordan 7 times before he was healed. The Israelites had to march around Jericho before the walls fell. Peter had to cast his net on the other side before he caught more fish than he could carry. Every act of obedience unlocks a greater blessing. If God is asking you to step out, do it. It may not make sense now, but on the other side of obedience is the breakthrough you have been waiting for. Another sign that God is testing you is when He allows you to reach your absolute limit. You may feel like you cannot go any further, as if you have no strength left. But this is where His power is revealed. It is when you come to the end of yourself that you see the fullness of God. Paul said, "When I am weak, then I am strong." God's strength is made perfect in weakness. When you have nothing left, that is when His grace sustains you. That is when He steps in and does what only He can do. Do not mistake the test for abandonment. Do not let the enemy convince you that God has forgotten you. He has not. Every trial is a step toward the promise. Every hardship is a preparation for what is to come. If you are being tested, it is because you are being prepared. The greater the test, the greater the testimony. Hold on, keep believing, and do not lose heart. The breakthrough is closer than you think. When you feel as though the weight of the world is pressing down on you, when the trials seem endless and the burden too heavy to carry, that is when God is at work in the deepest places of your life. The enemy would have you believe that your suffering is without purpose, that your pain is in vain, but God never allows a trial without a reason. Every storm He permits is meant to strengthen you, to refine your faith, and to bring you closer to the destiny He has prepared for you. If you are walking through a season of testing, know that your breakthrough is nearer than it has ever been before. The darkness before the dawn is always the darkest, and the enemy fights hardest when he knows the victory is close at hand. One of the most significant signs that God is testing you before your breakthrough is when you feel overwhelmed by a series of challenges that come one after another. It seems as if every time you take one step forward, something comes to push you 2 steps back. The trials come not in isolation but in waves, pressing upon you from every direction. This is not a coincidence. The enemy knows that if he can discourage you now, if he can cause you to doubt God's plan, he can keep you from stepping into the fullness of your calling. But what the enemy does not understand is that the more he tries to press you down, the stronger God is making you. Just as pressure turns coal into diamonds, the pressure of trials is refining your spirit, purifying your faith, and preparing you for the abundance God has in store. There are moments when you will feel spiritually exhausted, as though the fire that once burned brightly within you is now nothing more than a flickering ember. Your passion for prayer, for worship, for reading the Word may begin to fade, and the presence of God may feel distant. This is not because God has left you, He never leaves His children, but because He is stretching your faith. It is easy to worship when you feel His presence, but will you continue when the heavens seem silent? It is easy to trust when everything is going well, but will you trust Him in the valley? God is not testing your comfort, He is testing your commitment. Faith that is only strong in good times is not true faith at all. It must be tested in the fire, purified through the trials, and proven in the struggle. Another way God tests his children before a breakthrough is by allowing them to face situations that seem impossible. The Red Sea stood before the Israelites, and Pharaoh's army pursued them from behind. The walls of Jericho stood tall and unshaken before they crumbled. David faced a giant with only a sling and 5 stones. Time and time again, God's people have been placed in situations where victory seemed impossible. Why? Because God wanted them to see that the battle was never theirs to fight alone. He wanted them to trust not in their own strength, but in His power. When you are facing a situation that seems impossible, do not be afraid. The God who parted the sea, the God who brought down the walls, the God who gave victory to David, is the same God who walks with you today. He has not changed, and He will not fail you. There are times when the doors that once seemed open suddenly close. Opportunities that seemed promising may slip away, and the path you thought you were meant to walk may become unclear. This too is a test. God is not closing doors to punish you.